So I usually don't really do tech reviews on this channel. I honestly thought about quitting YouTube entirely. Well, yeah, the compare videos are fun to make. They're really stressful too. The Simpsons game video was just super stressful to make, and it just really wasn't up to par. And basically, it didn't really turn out the way I wanted it to turn out. It's just my ideas are next to nothing. I want to work on smaller videos again, like reviews and stuff. So why not start off the review with a simple review? I say review a lot, by the way. Of the Mayflash Magic NS for Nintendo Switch. The adapter. Basically, it's an adapter that will convert controller inputs to many different kinds of outputs to make it as simple as possible. Basically, it'll take a DualSense controller right here and convert it into a Nintendo Switch Pro controller, and it will output to a Nintendo Switch console, and it'll work. Unless you have a DualSense like mine, which is drifting at the age of 3 months. Yay. So first off, the product comes in a tiny little red box, which I kind of trashed. I just left it on the floor, really, and you're probably wondering, why am I just a stupid Pokemon plush? Well, I have an ugly mug, and you don't need to see it. So what's in the box? Well, first we have a manual which tells you all the controllers it works with, and what buttons will be assigned to what, and so on. It also contains like secret codes to like change mappings and vibration levels. So I recommend keeping this. I don't really recommend throwing this in the bin. What you can throw in the bin are these stickers. Yes, maybe some people want to keep them on their controllers or something, but honestly, I have all the buttons ingrained into my brain at this point, so I don't need this trash one bit. You have a USB-C to USB-A adapter. This allows you to plug the adapter into the Switch console while it's in handheld mode. It'll even plug into a phone, which I can't show you because I record with the same phone. And last but not least, the gray brick. That's the adapter in the end. It's not pretty to say, but I'm a simple man. If it works, it works. The button on the side acts as a sync button. If tapped, then it acts like a mode switch button if held. If the controller is already synced to the adapter, tapping the button will desync the controller from the adapter. Useful if you want to like power off or disconnect the controller with a simple button. If you don't pair another controller to it, the controller you paired first will turn right back on when you powered it on. If you hold it for 3 seconds, it switches into different modes. Let's look at them on the side of the adapter. Blue means D-input, or direct input, for the long name. This is the standard Windows input system that has been part of Windows for, ever. It was the standard when it came to controller APIs before X-input took over. Basically, if you sync a PlayStation and Nintendo Switch controller to a PC alone, they will be in direct input mode. Red means Nintendo Switch mode. I have no idea what's different about this mode compared to the purple mode, but I was told to use the purple mode, so let's ignore this one. Green means X input. It will basically convert any controller connected to this adapter to an Xbox 360 controller. Basically, this would be mainly used for PC games that use the X input API. Why would you buy this instead of using software? Basically, if you want a plug-and-play experience with any controller, using this adapter could possibly deliver one. Purple is the Switch Pro. This will convert any controller to a Switch Pro controller, complete with gyro support and everything. This is usually what people buy this adapter for, to use PlayStation and Xbox controllers on the Switch console. Yellow is a Neo Geo mini mode. I don't own a Neo Geo, so I can't test this. And light blue is the PlayStation Classic mode. Who bought one of these? So those are all the modes, and really for me, I only need 2 of them, the green mode and the purple mode. So for the main purpose of this adapter and why most people buy it is obviously the fact that it lets you use whatever controller you want on the Switch console. Preferably, dock play is the best for this since you don't need this adapter plugged in at all times. And usually if you're playing in handheld mode, you're playing with the Joy-Cons anyways. First off, on the Switch console, Pro Controller Wired Communications mode needs to be set to on before this works, since this will mostly act as a wired Pro controller. So after turning that on, you plug in your Switch, you switch the mode to the purple light. Now, there's two ways to sync the controller you're using, and it depends on which controller you're using. For wireless play, you first push the button on the adapter. It will flash, and then you will want to do this. For the DualShock 4 and DualSense controllers, you will want to hold down the share button and the PS button at the same time until the light bar begins to flash, and after a little bit, it'll connect. For the Xbox One controller, you will just hold the sync button at the top of the controller like normal as it's powered on, and the light will begin to flash and pair with it. Sadly, for the Series X and S controllers, I don't have one to test it, but on the site and in the manual, it says it doesn't work wirelessly and only wired, and you will need to do some confusing shit for DualShock 3 controllers to work. Simply for these controllers, just use the USB cable and connect it to the dongle, and that's good to go. And with the DualShock 3 controller, when you connect it to a dongle with a wire, it will automatically pair the controller for wireless play. I kind of like that, actually. I like having the last device I plug the thing into is the one that's paired to it. For the series controllers, I was told that wireless does not work at all, and it needs to be wired to work. I don't know why, that's just it. So, for the PlayStation 4 controller, which is what I tested because, well, my PS5 controller was drifting, it works perfectly fine. It literally feels like the Switch Pro controller, except it's a cheaper controller because, well, my DualShock 4 is pretty used at this point. But it feels much better than the actual Pro controller that's being offered for the Switch. But for the Xbox One controller, well, there's no gyro. For example, in Super Mario 3D World, there is a level that's pretty early in the game, which requires gyro controls. They don't work on the Xbox. As you can see, I can't progress past this point. You can't proceed because you can't aim the cursor or anything. Because the Xbox controller doesn't have gyro at all in it. But that's pretty much it for the Switch mode. I tested both wired, wireless play with all the controllers I owned, and pretty much all of them worked perfectly fine. Input lag felt fine in my opinion. I wasn't really sensitive to input lag, I thought so, until I tried hooking it to my PC. The PC is another thing I was excited about. Finally, I don't have to use Steam Input anymore, or no more dealing with like DS for Windows, which has pretty poor documentation on how to get exclusive mode on your controllers. I might make a video about that. Essentially, the controllers with the adapters are pretty much plug and play for the most part. Plug the wire in the Switch, you switch the modes and stuff and everything, and you boot up the PC game, and then you play it. It works perfectly fine in pretty much every case I tried. Until I tried using a controller wirelessly. Wirelessly, at least on my PC, was less than perfect. At some times, it would work completely fine. But other times, I would notice insane input lag. Now, I'm not talking just about like 100 milliseconds or something. No, I'm talking about multiple seconds of you pushing the button, and then 2 seconds later, the game would register that button. I didn't really mess around with it enough because usually on my PC, for some reason, I just stick to the wires. I'm probably like too lazy to go through the pairing step and stuff. I just like plugging my controllers in and playing with them. I have no issue playing with the wire. Outside of that one issue, if you want to play PC games plug and play with no extra software or use your PlayStation controllers on your Switch, I can actually recommend this adapter. It goes for only $20. And for someone like me, it's actually really useful because I don't like Nintendo controllers that much, so playing with a PlayStation controller is nice, and being able to do the same with PC is pretty good in the end as well. I know that this was a really small video, but honestly, I considered not even returning, so be surprised this got made, so, because I'll see how less stressful this is to make over the Simpsons video, and if I get a dig with this, then I might continue doing more because I have some reviews in the process. But yeah. Anyway, guys, see you later. Goodbye.